I really enjoyed this chapter. Simple and straight to the point, but a lot of good moments, great callbacks, fun character interactions, and just a lot of things to chew on, a lot of things to think about. Where is Fujimoto taking this story? What is he trying to tell us? What is he setting up? There's a really large amount of dialogue within here that's pushed through a news broadcast. Basically, people are talking about this parasocial relationship that they have with a superstar. And this superstar has a weird relationship / affair with this other well-known person. This is what all of the broadcasts are talking about, going into a lot of detail, interviewing people that are fans and how they're expressing themselves in terms of disappointment and being heavily upset and really just uncontrollable parasocial relationships towards these random individuals that we as readers know nothing about. In world, it makes sense, but it brings up kind of a bigger macro question. What exactly is the purpose of this? Why is this even here? Why is Haruka, of all people, stressed and nervous about this situation? Well, I have two different perspectives for this. The first is that originally all of the Chainsaw Man stuff, when it came to the church, when it came to people turning into Chainsaw Man, and just the general idea and population response to him, has been publicly broadcasted. That was the whole point, the whole purpose. They were gaining a lot of influence, a lot of traction, a lot of members because it was publicly available. This is what he's known. And you would think because they broke into and out of a facility with Chainsaw Man that something like this would have been broadcasted. So I'm thinking he's nervous because he's waiting to see himself alongside all of his acquaintances plastered on the big screen being hunted down by the public. That's just not the case. They don't even mention Chainsaw Man. They don't mention the prison break. They don't mention anything related to devils. They're keeping it off screen. So again, I think he's part nervous, but also unsure on why no one's really making a deal out of it. Why is no one talking about the bigger picture here that's currently going on? This brings up the second perspective that I have. I believe public safety, or you could go higher and say the government, is actually purposefully not allowing certain type of information on the news. There's a really important reason for this, and it would be just to stop fear-mongering, but it also shows a level of control that public safety would have. Sure, government can step in and regulate that anyway, but public safety is where they would really pick and choose certain things that they'd want and not want on the big screen. For example, if Chainsaw Man is gaining power through news broadcasts and the perception towards that isn't favored to him, a lot more people are going to start fearing him. That means he's going to gain more power. That means public safety is in a bad position to deal with a stronger Chainsaw Man. So it would be in their best interest to try and control the broadcast as much as possible. That would be the smartest thing to do, which makes it easier for public safety to deal with them within the future. For me, this does a lot of world building wise because you kind of find yourself asking the question on why no one is really caring about everything that's going on within the Chainsaw Man story currently. There's a lot of people getting into fights, a lot of public disturbances, a house being burnt down. How are they covering all of this up? And it would make sense, again, that public safety is putting their kind of pressure into these positions to make it seem a lot more natural than devil orientated. We've been known that they've been doing this for a long time. It's just becoming more aware by our main cast of characters now that when they're naturally involved within it and the kind of the center, it's weird and conflicting. What I really do like is the character interaction here. There's a lot of beautiful moments, characters being self-aware and annoyed, but overall the volley of conversation back and forth I think is pretty nice. It's a bunch of just different characters from different backgrounds trying to navigate this weird situation. And then you have someone like Nail and even Katana Man that come later within the chapter just to throw curveballs. Like you wouldn't expect those two to be here very naturally with a bunch of regular people that don't really know much about this world. Yet here we are, all kind of centered around Denji, who's passed out on this bed. But let me just clarify, they put this man in his trauma clothes. Anytime you see him as a child, you see him as a boy, you see him reflecting on very horrible moments, he always wears that singlet and pants. Why'd they have to do that to him? Also, side note, why is Fami devouring this food like she's never eaten before? The girl is messy. Food's all over the place. She's got like 6 plates of all different things. I get that she likes food, but seeing her in this position is kind of endearing. It's a little bit cute. Like you wouldn't think that she's a horseman of the apocalypse with the love that she has for food. But the reason I actually mentioned this is I brought up an idea a while back in terms of her abilities being related to her hunger. the more you kind of go down the rabbit hole of horsemen and their abilities and how they're actually represented as opposites, there's a lot of discussions to be made, right? We've talked about it before. A lot of Fami's abilities, at least, are directly integrated with starving. What I brought up is that maybe the ability also has a negative effect on her, which means she has to kind of constantly eat. The more powerful the devil or the more she starves something, the more it affects her as well. And usually this is just to help out the balancing mechanisms of characters within stories. War has the exact same thing with guilt. Makima has the control thing as well, where people have to see themselves lower than her. So there's a lot of different ways that it can work, and it would make sense for Fami to be like this. So cute moment and helps with their character building. Now, what would you think if you were in a position where you woke up surrounded by all these different people, not really sure what happened? How would you react? What would you say? What would you do? You'd be asking questions. Where am I? What's going on? What happened? Logical things, right? The first thing Denji says when he wakes up is, "Where is your arm?" to Asa. I don't want to read into it any more than anyone else probably already has, but to me this just screams compassion, that the first thing that he recognizes out of everything within this room, new environment, new place, Nails laying right beside him, everyone sitting on the same bed, he sees her arm, and it's the furthest away from him. So it's not an easy thing to see. Sure, I could be reading into it too much, but where's the fun in that? He's curious, but I do think he might eventually help her. If you drink blood, you can probably grow your arm back, good as new. Whether she accepts it or not, who knows? But little moments like this, I really like. Small and appreciative, enough to get you talking on certain things and Denji's perspective on the situation. Asa replies with, "Your friend cut it off," which, no question, has to be asked on who that friend is, because the only one that he realistically has is Yoshida. So it's a little bit sad, a little bit annoying that he even thinks about it like that, but it makes sense for him to jump to that conclusion because there is no one else. This is where everything ramps up. Katana Man's here to kick Denji in his beanbag. This is a nice old school callback to when Denji and Aki were doing this in the beginning of part 1, so it has come full circle. Obviously, Katana Man is here to run the gauntlet again. He wants to fight Chainsawman, and that's just the single brain cell that he has. There was a deal to kind of explain everything when he woke up. Asa wants to give that to Denji before anything else, but, you know, War not having it and does the exact same thing that Katana Man done, kicking him in the beanbag. So it's time. Human form Denji is not needed. Chainsaw Man has to be woken up, but I think they severely underestimate the situation that they're all in. Mind you, they're all kind of technically on the run. I would imagine, hope even, that public safety is on their tail of some kind, and I wouldn't be surprised if Yoshida is like 2 or 3 chapters out. They are in Fami's apartment, they want to fight Chainsaw Man, but they also don't take into consideration what Denji currently knows or how he's currently feeling. So let's just back up a moment. Let's not forget, prior to Denji being cut up, he was almost very close to turning into full armor Pochita. He even asked for it, but it was kind of denied because he was getting cut up. Naota has been taken. We don't know where she is. And this is the only thing that's kind of keeping Denji together. So we don't know what his mind is looking like currently. He thinks this is all still a dream. I don't think Denji's going to evolve, but instead a conversation about Naota might actually be pretty fruitful. See, Denji could emotionally connect with Asa again, reeling her out of the war form if we bring up the whole Naota situation and trying to potentially save her. How long this would last for, I don't really know. Katana Man is also a lot of word. I feel like he could be easily persuaded as long as he's promised something in the future, which would be Chainsaw Man. So funny enough, they could eventually all work out to help each other in some way, kind of similar to how Asa and Fami came together with everyone currently. They all want Chainsaw Man, they all want him in peak performance, but there's a funny alternative here, is that he's not in peak performance because he's so focused on caring about Naota and where she is. So the idea is they help him, he turns into Chainsaw Man, fights them, everyone win-win, but that's just like a hypothetical, right? It's never that simple, it's never that easy, and as usual, Fujimoto is just gonna take us by surprise with another curveball. I like what's going on, I enjoy it, a lot of great character moments within here. Just a very fun chapter filled with a lot of speculation on what's gonna happen next. Welcome to the end of the video. If you made it this far, thank you, I appreciate it. Leave a like and subscribe, that'd be nice. Also, check out some of these videos here. The more you watch, the more YouTube recommends me, and I love that, and you'll probably enjoy the video. Let me know how you felt about this chapter. I'd love to hear it, and with that, I will see you all later.